day of recording this video, I was in terrible back pain from doing something stupid. I tried to lift something far too heavy. Since I had degenerative discs, herniated and bulging vertebral discs, I've been familiar with back pain for decades. I'm not a doctor nor a physical therapist, but I've seen both for this pain issue. I get prescription medication, do my yoga, and walk even if I have to use a cane, so I'm not stiff or afraid to move. It might sound impossible, but with the assistance of a prop to give me leverage, I was able to get into my aerial inversion. The prop in this instance was the tailgate end of a pickup truck. I tried a few variations of aerial hammock inversions, including the basic Spider-Man, but since I couldn't reach higher to secure my silk to the daisy chains, I had to try other things because I didn't have enough head clearance. In this first version, you'll see that I did a thigh wrap on the leg that was not hurting. So that way it also used up a little bit more silk and I was able to get a little bit more head clearance from the bottom. But here is the cross back that I utilized, making sure that my shoulders were able to come through. And then you'll see me use the truck right there as steps, hoist myself using my arm strength rather than my core where it hurt, and I was able to move my legs, get into my inversion, and hang. I was able to be there for about 15 to 20 minutes. I did come in and out a few times to try other things, but this example right here is the one that was the most comfortable for the condition. To come out of this posture, I was able to again use my arms, reach up, hold the silk, take my good leg, if you will, and then unwrap the leg where there was the most pain. Use the truck again as steps to climb down. I stayed there for a few seconds just to make sure everything was okay. And then I moved on to trying another type of inversion. In this one, I have one foot going in, and what's going to take place is a version that in yoga, in a mat version anyway, we would call Baddha Konasana or bound angle. It's called diamond or butterfly with your legs. So I get both feet into the silk, make sure that there's plenty of silk to cover the front of my legs as well as I squat down, which was not a particular problem. And then grabbing a lot of that fabric from the back, pulling it through to the front. And then it takes a slower effort here as you have one shoulder in the front. If you've ever done this, you know what I mean. You have to do one shoulder at a time. Then you bring all that fabric together up over your shoulders and you make chicken wings with your arms. And then that is very much going to support you. It's just like shoulder stand in the hammock. So you want to make sure that that silk goes across the top of your shoulders, covers your shoulder caps, your deltoid area, and then you are safe and able to flip over by going forward in this instance rather than going backwards. Since coming out of this requires a lot more core work than the other version, this was a little bit harder for me to do and not quite as comfortable as it is on the days when I feel fine. Next, I went from where I was in that Baddha Konasana shape to a back bend where most of my body was inside the silk, and then using my hands to slowly slide myself down. It took a lot more effort because my hands had to hold me in place. So I nixed that one and moved on to something else. So what I'm doing is just taking this around my waist. It's going to shift and change help myself here. Okay, get the arms through first, and then I'm gonna hold on to my support, which is a truck right now. And I'm gonna use the back of the truck to help me invert. So that way I'm not using a whole bunch of my muscles. Takes a couple wiggles to get it in a comfortable place. And then relax. So right now I can barely touch the floor, which is very different. So to come out, I need to use my legs, especially the one that's not feeling as much sensitivity. I'm going to press myself away from my support, if you can see, and that helps my upper body lift, and then my toes can tap down and I can unwind myself. I'm turning, making this crisscross shape. Reaching up. Now mind you, this is after I'm already starting to feel a little better. Using my stronger leg to take my first step up. Then I have to start to straighten myself out. So this does require a little arm oomph here. And then I can use my legs to climb up my support, in this case, the gate of the truck. So what's great about this version of an inversion is that if you have a hammock that hangs really low, doing this wrap around the waist first, crisscrossing in the back, and then lifting your butt up and over, it uses up some of the fabric. So if you're in a situation where you can't raise your fabric and you can't raise that hammock any higher, like I could only go so high because I wasn't about to try lifting a 10-foot, 12-foot ladder over here. But the truck was already here, so that's my tool. You know, sometimes you learn how to improvise. To come out, I'm gonna use my hands and my arm strength again, just a little. Start to unwind my legs. Reach for the truck. I'm gonna press myself away. If you can see, that's what I'm doing here. I think you can see. And then that way I can walk my feet down. And before letting go, I can make sure that I don't have excruciating pain before moving on. Because if I did, I would stay here because this little crisscross back here feels amazing. It feels, like a corset or back brace. So that's also another helpful tip if you have back problems. Strengthening your core is most important, obviously. There are people in amazing shape who still sometimes get issues. And so you can't always blame things on your strength and your weight, because that's aggravating and not true. But if you have a good, solid steel bone corset, you might want to wear it for, a few hours. I would not recommend wearing it a lot, because it means that you're not using your abdominal strength or your back muscles at all. So they are getting weaker the longer you wear the corset. So you want to wear one enough to alleviate pain, or if you're having the kind of day where you're going to be on your feet a lot and probably not have the best posture. So having a corset around can be really helpful. But again, I've seen what it can do when you wear them too much. I'm also against tight lacing. I think that's too much, but I'm not your doctor or you. If you like tight lacing a corset, go for it. I don't. I've seen x-rays of how deformed the rib cage gets. And, that's from repeated long-term use. You wear a corset one day, it's obviously not going to do that. But having this little crisscross back here feels pretty darn good. And then if you think you can lift your legs, you don't need to come into a full camel here. Just allow the silk to hold you while your spine still decompresses. The difference is you're not upside down. I guess I could show you from the other direction, even though it's not really going to do any good for you to see what's happening in the X shape. Very important. Get your hair out of the way. If you have a step stool, yoga blocks, anything like that where you can step on to give yourself a little lift up so that you can get your shoulders back behind the silks, and that way you know that you're in a decent position. I would love for this to be just put down a little bit, and then as I let go, I can lift my toes, and I'm still really close to the ground. I wouldn't stay like this long because of the sensation right here. It's a nerve complex, actually. So it's a bunch of nerves that you don't want to compress too much. But that's one of the benefits of not doing an inversion is your feet are near the floor. You can come up and out and rest and then go back in. But boy, oh boy, I think hanging upside down, if you're able to, is so wonderful and healing. If you have blood pressure issues, high or low, then it's not recommended unless you have a good conversation with your doctor, cardiologist, whoever you see.